Ooh, yeah. I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio Authors Edition right here on wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. That's where we are. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Man, we have a mountain man today, a mountain guy, a guy off grid. I mean, like the guy that you see in the movies that he fights these. Never mind. I'm not going to say this because I love those kind of movies too. So I'm looking at him going, this is the perfect guy for this whole job. And he writes only during one season of the year because he's busy all the other seasons, which is kind of understandable. I mean, you got to get yourself ready for the winter, right? So I want to welcome Tall Paul to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Now, did I describe you perfectly or did I just leave out some stuff?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I live a pretty simple life. I live up here in the mountains off grid with my two dogs, a golden retriever and a black lab. And that's it. I get company every once in a while. I once went 40 days without seeing another human being. And yes, I make very few trips to the grocery store. So yeah, it's absolutely mountain man lifestyle up here.
Wow. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Where did you get the name Tall Paul from?
You know what? I joke about that because it was given to me a long, long time ago. And I tell people that the euphonic cognomen is not derived from stature, but from character.
Okay. I gotcha. I like that. So I'm skinny Yaya.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my goodness. This is great though. I love this. So why did you decide, or did you ever decide, was it something that you kind of inherited or you moved out that way and this is what you wanted for your life?
I've always wanted to be a mountain man ever since I was a young child. And I loved reading the stories. I watched the TV show Grizzly Adams as a young child. That's an old show. You wouldn't remember it. But anyway, then just as right after I graduated from high school, the movie about Jeremiah Johnson came out with Robert Redford. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And here I am.
Yep. So how long have you been a mountain man?
I've been a mountain man now for 16 years.
Wow. Any children during that time? I mean, what was your life like during that time? You said you've gone one time 40 days without any human interaction. I mean,
yes, I had three boys that I raised as a single parent, and I raised them in South Dakota. And once they went off to college, and then I bought this place over here in Colorado and moved up here.
Wow. What do they say about your life as the mountain man?
Well, I have one son who raises bucking bulls down in Oklahoma. He's not too happy about the fact that I don't come visit very often, and he has the only grandchild that I have. But I have one son who lives in South Dakota, and he comes and hunts with me every fall. And then my youngest son, his ashes are on the mountain that are up behind my cabin. I lost him to cancer back in 2006.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear.
I was actually working on his book when I got the idea for delayed departure, and had to put delayed departure on hold until I finished the book about my son.
Wow. Well, everybody has a life and no one knows when it's going to be over.
That's exactly right.
You just have to live it. And unfortunately, some, parents, and you and I are in the same boat, lose their children before they lose themselves. It's not a way of order, but it does happen. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. So, but you do have two other children, and you do have your book, Delayed Departure. Tell us about this whole, and why is it named Delayed Departure?
Well, a lot of times I won't explain that to people because I tell them you have to read the book to figure out why the name. But because it gives it away, but not till the end.
Okay.
But anyway, so I'd kind of ruin it if I told you
Don't
why.
tell me.
But yeah, you
No.
just have to read the book. But as I just told you, I was in the middle of writing the book about my son Shane. It's called Nothing But Try, the Shane Drury story. I'll put a little plug in here for the book. And anyway, I was an investigator and a paralegal that worked for several high-ranked attorneys in the Boulder, Colorado area. And so one day, the one attorney I worked for wore casual clothes to work all the time. He was not a suit and tie guy. And he come in wearing this T-shirt, and it had on it a Frederick Remington pen and ink drawing that's in the Phoenix Museum down in Phoenix, Arizona. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, I said, Bob, you have two choices. I said, you can either take off that shirt and make me copies of that picture on the photocopier, or you can lay on the photocopier. I don't care which one you do, but I have to have a copy of that shirt because it just gave me an idea for another book. And at first he thought I was joking. And then when he realized that, no, I was dead serious and we weren't going to get any business done until he did what I asked, he went ahead and took his shirt off and made me a couple photocopies. And so I kept them for a couple years till I got Shane's book finished. And then I immediately started, actually, I started a little bit at the same time. It's kind of tough writing two books at the same time, but I would keep getting ideas. So I would make notes, and I would just put notes in my computer because I knew where I wanted to go with the story. I just wasn't sure how I was going to get there.
Right.
And yeah, I instantly had the idea for the title, and it's a historically based fiction, which means the story in and of itself is not true, but some of the references in the story actually happened in history. Mm. One of them is Pearl Harbor. Okay. A lot of people, I had one history teacher actually read my book, and he said, where did you get this information about the balloon bombs? And I said, I've just known about it for years. The Japanese actually put bombs on balloons and put them in the jet stream to have bombs land in the United States. Now, most of them landed up in Canada. Some did land in the United States. He said, I'm a history teacher and I never heard of that. And I said, well, Google it because it's true. And he did, and it was true. And so then there was other references that I have in the book about the orphan train. A lot of people didn't know that this country had a train that brought orphans from New York on the East Coast out to the Midwest. Some of them actually became slave labor, but some of them became part of the family, that's how it was supposed to be. But my character comes out on the orphan train and he escapes because he's looking for his father.
Wow. Wow. That's just amazing. Amazing. Now, writing this book, and after you wrote your son's book, then you wrote this book, was that therapeutic for you in any kind of way?
This one was not really so much. My first book about my son was very much so. But this one I wrote to pass the time in the winter time. And I wrote it for entertainment purposes. I wanted it to be a history lesson as well as entertaining for the people that read it.
And have you read it again and gone, oh my gosh, I can't believe I wrote that?
No, because I've actually moved on.
Oh,
I have written a sequel to Delayed Departure called The Promise. And then I have written the third book in the trilogy, which is called The Curse, that just went live this week on Amazon.
well, congratulations.
Yeah, so it's actually a trilogy. It's Delayed Departure, The Promise, and The Curse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Wow. So
So
you've been busy.
I keep busy. Yes.
Wow. And that is wonderful. That is wonderful. So, these books here that you have, and the summary of it all is this young man and his journey. Am I correct?
Yes. Delayed Departure is really about it's about two brothers that went to World War One,
Mm,
of only of which one brother comes back.
mm.
But the brother who doesn't come back fathered a child over in Europe somewhere during the war. And this child's mother brings him to New York for to go to Wyoming to find his father. But she gets sick and dies. And that's how come he gets on the orphan train, is because
Oh,
she drops him off at an orphanage. And he was kind of a handful as a child, and so they put him on the train as quickly as they could. But he knew he had to get to Wyoming, and so when the train pulled in at Cheyenne for a refuel stop or whatever, he sneaks off the train and goes looking for his father. So
wow.
it's about him, and then the sequel, the next book, The Promise, is about his daughter. He gets called back into the military, which is unbelievable considering everything he had gone through, but he disappears. And so his daughter goes looking for him and actually finds her grandfather, who everyone thought had gotten killed in the war.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a special way, I'm not going to tell you,
Don't
there's a
tell me.
special way that her grandfather recognized her.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, so then the third book is about her children inheriting the ranch, and the government tried to do a big land grab on them because they discovered a uranium mine on
Mm,
the property. And so it's quite an interesting trilogy.
wow. Wow. That is so cool. That is so cool. And you had all this time to write because winter didn't stop this year.
Winter didn't stop this year. I got the third book finished pretty quick, but I have told everyone, because I have like 5,000 people on Facebook that follow me, and I said, that's it. There's not going to be a fourth book. I'm moving on now to something different.
Mm, that is so cool. So, I mean, how has writing changed your life?
Writing is something that I always wanted to do. And I didn't get a whole lot of support from my family. I mean, there was 6 of us kids, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad basically brought the paycheck home, which was never enough. But we got by. We lived good. But anyway, so there was no way to support any of my ambitions as a child. So I had to wait and grow up and do it all on my own. And a lot of times I sit up here in the winter time and have a little sip of whiskey and wonder what my father would think about my success as a writer.
Mm. And what would he think?
What's that?
And what do you think he would think?
You know, I think he would be very pleased, is what I think. Uh, he got to meet all 3 of my boys before he passed away. and he was pretty happy with them. He would come out and go hunting with me, and at that time the boys were old enough to all hunt, so it'd be the 5 of us together on a hunting trip. And so yeah, he got to interact with them quite well.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Congratulations on that. I mean, not many people can say that. Not many people can say that. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. So your book is live now, your 3rd one, and you're moving on, but where can people find these books?
Amazon has them all. Amazon, if you go in and punch in the title and say like Delayed Departure by Tall Paul, it immediately pops up.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's the best. That's the easiest way to find it. If you just put in Delayed Departure, like 100 books pop up, but they're not all Delayed Departure.
And they're not all Tall Paul.
No, definitely not all Tall Paul.
Well, I want to thank you, Tall Paul, for being on the show and for sharing your knowledge and your story with us. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Anytime. When after the winter, you can have another book.
Okay. Well, I got one in the works. It's going to be a murder mystery this time. I already started it because I had lots of winter this year. 329 inches of snow. And so, yes. Anyway, yes. So I had.
You got to be tall to get through all that. Well, Tall Paul, thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to have all of that information in the link to the books in the description box below, so it'll be easy for you guys to go ahead and grab that for yourselves. I want to thank you guys so much, and thank you, Tall Paul. And until next time, guys, bye. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the next time that I upload. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys.
I dare to be different. I dare